Hi, it's me, Andrej. I'm looking for technical data because technical data is the most important. Remember, always check technical data in a reliable source so that it's verified. I don't know where it is. The guys are making too much content. Listen, Suzuki Hayabusa. Hey, be careful not to ruin the magazine. Suzuki Hayabusa. It's new, but kind of old because when you look at it, it still reminds you of the Hayabusa. So here's the thing. I really like these camps. In the editorial of our magazine this time, I wrote that a lot of people like to hate on the new Hayabusa because it has a few less horsepower, because it's not a revolution, because it doesn't have a turbo, and so on and so on and so on. I'd like to invite those people. It's a pity they can't be here with us at the airport in Kielce at the Suzuki event, so they could take a ride on the new Hayabusa and say it's rubbish. I made a special place for them, and no, I couldn't invite them if they said that on purpose. Listen, Suzuki Hayabusa, let's be glad it exists, because it's still the Hayabusa we know. A brilliant machine. In my opinion, it's primarily a sport touring bike, a kind of breed that's slowly disappearing because everything is being replaced by adventure bikes and naked bikes. But here we have a true classic sport touring motorcycle. It's no longer the fastest motorcycle in the world, well, maybe it could be, but I'll get to that in a moment because many bikes now have more power than the Hayabusa. It currently has 190 horsepower, which given its weight of 250 something kilograms really isn't all that impressive these days. But a prize to anyone who can launch from a standstill as quickly as the Hayabusa can, because it's long, heavy, stable, one can get off the line fast with it. And an even bigger prize to anyone who can keep up with the Hayabusa on the open road. We know we live in a world with speed limits, but if those didn't exist, there are honestly very few motorcycles that could keep up with the Hayabusa for such a long stretch. In fact, maybe only something like the ZZR 1400, for example, or some other high-powered machines could do it. The motorcycle is incredibly stable at high speeds thanks to its aerodynamics. Maybe that's also why this motorcycle hasn't changed much, because you can't cheat aerodynamics. I don't know what they would have to do, how they could improve it to make it even more aerodynamic, because that was the priority back in 1998, to make this motorcycle as streamlined as possible, and it still is. When you tuck in behind the fairing here, you feel like you're transported to another world, one of flowing air. It's absolutely brilliant. This motorcycle is incredibly stable, especially since the suspension has been refined. We still have the standard traditional suspension here, adjustable with screws at the front and back, but at the same time, it has been improved. The frame is still aluminum, but now everything is better tuned. And that's the key to maintaining speed. Airflow, aerodynamics, suspension, chassis, stability while riding, and comfort. Because now it's also been shifted. Hayabusa has always been a comfortable motorcycle. Now the handlebars are set even further back so we can ride even more comfortably. The difference is really quite small. We would have to go from one to the other to notice it. What's next? Another advantage of the Hayabusa is that it still has those super cool round gauges where you can watch the speed climb, and on top of that, now we have electronics. Personally, I don't really need this electronics because it's not as advanced as in sport bikes, even for example the Suzuki GSX-R. The anti-wheelie kicks in quite aggressively, the traction control works decently, and the launch control is the same. These are features for people who are still learning to ride or are a bit afraid of this motorcycle. If you can handle a Hayabusa, if you've handled and still handle motorcycles, trust me, you'll ride this bike faster on your own without that electronics. Sure, traction control can be useful, but for example, when it comes to launches, you can manage it better yourself, mainly because of that. This is one of the most precise tools available in motorcycles, period. A huge engine over 1300 cc delivers power so smoothly. It's so beefy, so brilliant. The injection is so predictable that not only can you ride this motorcycle very fast and modulate it, but if you want to ride on the rear wheel, no problem. That's when it reminds you that it's still a GSX-R, meaning a sport bike. It goes up on the wheel whenever you want. Today it's a bit windy, but it's still incredibly easy to modulate. You can ride fast or slow. If you know how, you'll be the one in control. Another treat is the much better Brembo style brakes. The previous Hayabusas kept braking better and better, but there was always a slight sense of something missing. Now, it's really perfect. If I were to nitpick, it's a shame that even though there are a lot of modifications in the engine end, you can read about that either in the current magazine or on the website, depending on when you're watching this video. There are a lot of modifications that make it possible for this motorcycle to be much more powerful if we replace the exhaust system and start tuning the engine. It can handle a lot more, but that's a more technical matter, and as I said, it's described elsewhere. It will definitely handle a turbo even better than the previous one. So I lost my train of thought thinking about turbo, about how this motorcycle would ride with a turbo. There will definitely be a turbo version at some point, I want to take a ride on a Turbo Hayabusa, and then I invite everyone who says that the new Hayabusa is weaker after some light modifications that other motorcycles simply wouldn't withstand, but the Hayabusa will handle it. A great motorcycle, close to my heart because it has always been in the top 5 bikes I wanted to have on the street. I mean, I just wanted to have it in my garage. Now I'm a bit older. I don't know if I still need to travel from city to city in just a few minutes, but maybe. I really recommend just taking a ride on the Hayabusa and relaxing. Then you'll form your own opinion, because as I always say, make your own judgments about motorcycles. New test bikes are also there so that you can form your own opinions about them, and only then will you really be able to say what the new Hayabusa is like. And I'm gonna go ride it a bit more with the sidecar, as if I were taking my son for a ride. No, really, thank you. Bye.